Just like Mom, you have dinner on the table at 6 every night.
Hey guys, I'm home.
Of course, no one said it had to be cooked. Campbell's one-dish recipes, designed around one pan and your schedule. Made for real life.
Hey everybody, I'm here with Steph Zamorano and Ron Placone. How are you?
Howdy.
So again, guess what? Them country's in trouble. The country's in trouble, and why is the country in trouble? Because our political system has been corrupted by corporations. And you're like, what? What are you talking about? So, I mean, the Republicans always were. The Democrats decided to do the same thing in the 90s. And now we're left with the richest country in the world, where half the country's poor. So, that's called a broken system. And so people are in trouble. So people want us to stop talking about what happened in the last election. Because, as Ron Placone points out, if you don't learn from history, you're bound to win in 2018.
That's how I was taught in school.
So we're going to go ahead and figure out exactly. They did a study. Wesleyan University did a study about Hillary Clinton and her TV ads. Now, I think it just reflected the bigger emptiness of her campaign. Here's what this is the headline. Study, Hillary Clinton's TV ads were almost entirely policy-free. What have we been saying that's wrong with the Democrats? Look at our other videos. When someone at a town hall asks a Democrat, what do you stand for? They don't have anything to say. They have platitudes. Do you know what they say? The first thing they'll say is we're for opportunity for everyone, and the second thing we say is we're not Donald Trump. Or sometimes they'll do it the other way. They'll say we're not Trump first, second, third, and fourth. That lost them they're wiped out. That strategy wiped the Democrats out. They're still hanging on to it. So they did a study, a real university smarty pants people, when they looked at her campaign's ads, and well, here's what they said. Hillary Clinton's campaign ran TV ads that had less to do with policy, I put in red, that's how you know it's important, than any other presidential candidate in the past 4 presidential races.
That actually is significant. That's saying a lot because, I mean, a lot of political advertising usually is void of a lot of policy.
Yes, it usually is. And the fact that hers was the worst or the most devoid of policy in a generation, how long is a generation? 20 years? So that's 16. That's pretty close to a generation. According to a new study published Monday by the Wesleyan Media Project. So maybe it wasn't the Wesleyan University. Maybe it is. Who knows? I'm going to look more.
Which, of course, we would know that any of the Bernie Sanders propaganda or anything that they did as far as commercials were promoting real issues.
Yeah, but Bernie was talking about stuff. It says here Clinton's team spent a whopping $1 billion on the election in all. About twice what Donald Trump, twice what Trump spent. Clinton spent $72 million on television ads in the final weeks alone. But only 25% of the advertising supporting Hillary Clinton's campaign went after Trump on policy grounds. So only 1 out of 4 of her advertisements went after Trump on. So 3 out of 4 didn't talk about policy at all. Only 1 out of 4 would they talk about Trump's policies. By comparison, every other presidential candidate going back to at least 2000 devoted more than 40% of his or her advertising to policy-based attacks. None spent nearly as much time going after an opponent's personality as Clinton's ad did. And that's what we've been saying. You have to counter Trump with something. You can't counter him with nothing. And that's what they were countering him with. Hey, we're going to keep things how they are, and we don't have any big ideas. That's a loser. And that's what the Democrats are right now. We're going to try and get back to things that, not Trump, and just keep things how they are. People are hurting in America. People are tired of working 2 and 3 jobs while the country's economy is fucking booming. While corporations are making record profits. While we're spending $54 billion more on the military instead of sending the country to college.
She had so many ins too, because it's like one of those things, like even just healthcare alone. Even though I didn't agree with her, because she said, "Oh, the Affordable Care Act's perfect. We don't need to do anything else." But at least you know your opponent wants to take healthcare away from 22 million people. Those are, at least some of them are going to vote. Like, there's an obvious ad right there.
Yeah, I think she should have posted for single payer. I think,
of course,
obviously. I mean, the problem with you're right about that. That would have been a policy position. The problem with that is that most people, it's an unpopular bill.
Yeah,
Affordable Care Act. People are living with it, and it's better than what we had before. But it's still super not good.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's people still go bankrupt when they get sick. People still get denied service because their insurance company won't pay for it. So, beyond overall ad spending, the study also breaks down the content of the ads aired on behalf of each candidate. It says about 70% of Trump's ads contained at least some discussion of policy. 7 out of 10 of Trump's ads contained some policy discussion. About 90% of Clinton's attack ads went after Trump as an individual, compared with just 10% that went after his policies, the study found. So this is what we've been saying. What do the Democrats stand for? What's their message? What's their new deal? People need a new deal. What is the Democrats' new deal? Nothing. The Democrats have nothing. You know why? Because they're bought by corporations, by corporate donors, corporations, Wall Street, Big Pharma, the military-industrial complex, Big Oil. They're bought. That's why they can't go out and say, stronger unions. We got to get card checked. That's why that Barack Obama didn't march with the teachers in Wisconsin. Because their fucking donors don't want it. And that's why the Democrats can't beat Trump. They can't beat the Republicans who offer literally nothing to help people's lives. Nothing. The thing they're going to offer you is make your healthcare even shittier.
Can we reiterate, though, that the most cartoonish campaign, maybe in the history of American politics, still talked about policy more than the Democratic opponent? I think we need to reiterate that. That is just, wow, that's quite tragically comical.
Well, they did a chart. There's a chart, and if you look, the shaded areas are the advertisements that went after the personal. The white areas are the ads that talked about policy, and then the halfway shaded areas are the commercials that talked about both personal and policy. So if you look over here, this is Bush Gore, and almost everything talked about policy or both. Right? So that says that 75% of the ads by Bush talked about policy. About 65% of the ads talked about policy for Gore. For Bush, in 2004 against Kerry, that was about 62% talked about policy. Kerry talked about policies about 72%. Now in 2008, McCain and Obama. McCain, oh, look at this. He went personal. McCain talked about policy about 42% of the time. And then both the rest, see? So Obama talked about policy against McCain about 63% of the time. Personal attacks, the rest. See that? So you see how it goes? Then Romney and Obama, almost all policy. Isn't that something? Look how they came after each other on policy. But then we go to let's go to Hillary Clinton and Trump. All personal. That's all personal attacks. Do you see the difference? Do you see Obama and Hillary Clinton, the way they ran a campaign? He talked about policy. Everybody, by the way, everybody else talked about policy. Except Hillary. Look at the personal attacks on Trump. So when people are hurting, it turns out a campaign strategy to win is not to talk about what you're not going to do. You have to talk about what you're going to do for someone. Just being not someone else isn't an answer when people are looking for an answer. People need answers. People want solutions to their frickin' problems that only government can solve when we come together collectively. Like Medicare for all. Like ending those frickin' wars. And investing that money back at home. Or free college tuition. And everybody goes to college. Tuition free. Just like they go to high school. tuition free. So that's what people need. And that's the smartest people in the world. That was their idea on how to beat Donald Trump. And they lost to, as Ron called, the most cartoonish campaign in our history. And they lost to it. And they're still doing the same thing. They're still doing the same thing. So here, the study concludes that Clinton's strategy may have backfired badly. You think?
May have.
You think? Talk about an understatement.
Compelling evidence
Hey.
shows. What's the evidence? Well, who's in the White House?
It was a little breezy during Hurricane Katrina. I needed a windbreaker. Yeah. Here's what the study had to say. Evidence suggests that negativity in advertising can have a backlash effect on the sponsor, and that personally focused trait-based negative messages, especially those that are uncivil, tend to be seen as less fair, less informative, and less important. Now, you know, less important is important because I put it in red. That's ironic. Than more substantive policy-based messaging. So what they're saying is they've already studied this stuff, and the evidence suggests that negativity in advertising can have a backlash effect. So apparently Hillary Clinton's campaign weren't aware of this information.
Can I just say this, that
Yeah.
Hillary Clinton's policy-based messaging was, I'm with her.
Yeah, that's it.
That was it.
Yeah, it wasn't she's with me, by the way. She's with you. No, I'm with her. So in back to the study, in stark contrast to any prior presidential cycle for which we have Cantor Media CMAG data, the Clinton campaign overwhelmingly chose to focus on Trump's personality and fitness for office, in a sense doubling down on the news media's focus, leaving very little room for discussion and advertising of the reasons why Clinton herself was the better choice. And that's what we've been saying ad nauseum here at the show. That the Democrats need to figure out what their plan is going forward. What are they offering people? What are you offering in replacement of Trump? You know how they have repeal and replace? Well, what are you going to replace Trump with? You just want to repeal? What are you going to replace him with? Repeal and replace with what? Nothing? The same shit that led people to vote for Trump in the first place? A tin ear to working class problems? Is that what it's about?
You know, Jimmy, when you're talking about working class problems, I was just reading this article that highlights how 643,000 people every single year file for bankruptcy in the United States because of medical coverage. They don't have it. And then 25 million people don't get their proper medication because of the cost.
Well, that's because they're buying all those smartphones.
They got
and
that.
stuff, you
They
know?
probably
I mean,
have a phone, right, Ron?
Yeah, I mean that's what it is.
Yeah, I mean, if they, you know, they probably got their flat screen TVs in their phones.
And popping popcorn in their microwave.
Nothing pisses off white racists more than the thought that a poorer person is watching a TV, a flat screen television. I don't know what that is, but man, does that drive them? They're watching flat screens. I know it. Yeah, you can get a flat screen for about fucking $50 right now. I could go get you a flat screen for $50.
Same price as healthcare.
Same price as healthcare.
You get great healthcare for $50.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so there's a little more to this from Wesleyan. Trump, get this. Trump, on the other hand, provided explicit policy-based contrasts, highlighting his strengths and Clinton's weaknesses, a strategy that research suggests voters find helpful in decision-making. So apparently Trump got it right. His campaign got the messaging right. Hillary Clinton couldn't figure it out. You know why? Because they're not fucking for anything. And the things she was for, she hijacked from Bernie, and she wasn't really going to do them anyway. These strategic differences may have meant that Clinton was more prone to voter backlash and did nothing to overcome the media's lack of focus on Clinton's policy knowledge, especially for residents of Michigan and Wisconsin in particular, who were receiving policy-based and specifically economically focused messaging from Trump.
And he went there. For Wisconsin, at least.
Yeah. But the new report also confirms what multiple outlets have already reported. that the Clinton campaign did not appear to realize its vulnerability in the Rust Belt until the final days of the election, and as a result, blew millions that could have been spent elsewhere. Clinton's team spent virtually nothing advertising in Wisconsin, Michigan, or Pennsylvania until the final frickin' week, when they then decided to exponentially increase their resources there.
Wow, who would have made that decision? Debbie Wasserman Schultz, Donna Brazile? Who made those decisions?
That would be John Podesta, probably in conjunction with the Schultzes and the Brazilesies, right? Don't you think?
And the Clintonsies.
And the Clintonsies. Here, the Wesleyan researchers. I love this. The Wesleyan researchers write with some understatement. It may very well be that Clinton misallocated advertising funds, both hyper-targeting on local cable and advertising in non-traditional battlegrounds like Arizona. She advertised in frickin' Arizona rather than in the Midwest, for example. And a lack of policy messaging in advertising may have hurt Clinton enough to have made a difference. So the study figured out where they went wrong with their advertising, exactly what we've been saying. They're empty, vacuous. They have no soul as a party, so their message was empty and vacuous. And they've declared these academics that was enough to ruin the election for her. The blown money for TV advertising in Arizona was exacerbated. That blown TV money was exacerbated by a ground strategy that local Rust Belt Democrats have heavily criticized. So it wasn't the Green Party. It wasn't Jimmy Dore. It wasn't Susan Sarandon. It was the unbelievable incompetence of the richest, most connected motherfuckers in the world.
Yeah, and the ground strategy, I mean, not only, it's heavily criticized, it was schizophrenic. I mean, I can use my home state of Pennsylvania, for example. They were saying, well, we're going to reach out to some of the moderates, some of the Republicans, we're going to try to get some of those votes. Well, in Pennsylvania, she camped out in Pittsburgh and Philadelphia, the urban centers where she was already going to do well. And she did. In the middle, failed completely. And guess what Pennsylvania did for the first time since 1988? It went red in a presidential election.
Wow. Clinton campaign appeared to do little to relate to Midwest union workers in the run-up to the vote. Senator Gary Peters of Michigan told Fox.
Well, you know what? I feel like Hillary Clinton did very little to appeal to my union as a teacher.
Well, I'll tell you what she did do to appeal to your union. She hijacked your union's endorsement without a vote by the union members.
Right.
And the most horrible union leader in the country, Randy Weingarten, who is repulsive to normal people, then screwed over her own membership and decided to make an executive decision and endorsed Hillary Clinton, even though her union members were not for Hillary Clinton. They were for Bernie Sanders. So, again, some more bullshit establishment stuff by establishment people to prop up more establishment. Randy Weingarten, I don't know how teachers don't kick her the hell out of their union. She's horrible. She makes me not want to support teachers. Just her talking is repulsive. I'm not trying to be mean to her. I'm saying she turns people off when she opens her mouth. Very much like Hillary Clinton. Very much like Al Gore. Again, anyway, so I have to finish this. So that senator says, as far as I know, she didn't stop at any UAW halls, meaning Hillary Clinton. I probably would have been invited to be with her if she was going to go to one, but I never got that invitation. She didn't do any labor-specific events that I'm aware of. That's the senator from that state. It's pretty rare that you aren't working closely with labor in a campaign. It's pretty rare that you aren't working closely with labor in a campaign. It's pretty rare. Except this time it happened. Especially for statewide office. This is that senator talking, I'm sitting here now talking to you in a parking lot of the sheet metal workers before their holiday party. I'm going to be with my friends, with the sheet metal workers, to convey that they are important to me by showing up at their events. Labor simply cannot be taken for granted in Michigan. Not doing that sort of event certainly was a major oversight. So again, the Hillary Clinton campaign fell down on the job at every turn. At every turn. They couldn't even put a progressive as vice president. They right there, in your eye, making sure progressives would exit the party. And here's from, and you're talking about, you have firsthand knowledge, Ron, of what it was like in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Here's someone on the tweeter. She says, down south, her ads were about how Republican she is. Southern GOP would never vote for her, and that's why Southern libs hated her. It's a great strategy. And you know what? I think all those the people who made all those mistakes repeatedly and lost to Donald Trump and wiped out the Democratic Party, I hope they're still in positions to make decisions. Oh, they are. Oh, they are completely. It's the entire Hillary Clintonites are now running the DNC. Like they always were. So the people who are losers and dumb and in bed with the people who make sure they're going to lose are now completely controlling the Democratic Party still. But it's still Susan Sarandon, it's still me, it's still activists, it's still third-party voters. It's still people who are environmentalists or want a New Deal. It's still us that's the problem. It's not the people who are as dumb as you could possibly be, have absolutely no policies that help people. They don't have a reason to be except they're not as horrible as someone else. I think it's important that dummies keep pointing their finger at everybody else so we don't ever fix the problem and we have Trump for 8 years and we have a complete right-wing government at every level. I think it's important that people keep doing that. That the people, especially people on the left, the people on the left, I know you don't want to hear what happened in the 2016 election, so that's cool. Don't. Keep talking about Russia, pointing your finger at Comey, point your finger at Jill Stein, point your finger at Susan Sarandon, point your finger at comedians. It's so, you guys are so smart that you lost to Trump and you're wiped out. That's how smart you guys are. Everybody who voted for Hillary is so smart. And all those jagoffs who voted for Hillary, instead of holding her feet to the fire before the goddamn election to make her a better fucking candidate, it's your fault. People who pledged their support to Hillary after the convention, instead of saying, I'm not going to support you until you change your positions, right? It's your fault. Because you supported bullshit that was on its way to losing. And what you should have done was held Hillary Clinton's feet to the fire before the goddamn election, so she became a better fucking candidate. So she gave a shit about the people in the country that are hurting. So she talked to the people who couldn't bring themselves to vote for a warmonger. That's what you should have did. You hold the feet to the fire after the election. You hold her feet to the fire before the election when you have a little power and you can make her a better candidate. But you're even there, stupid. They're just as dumb as Hillary is. And now we got Trump, and it's my fault, and I'm sure it's a bunch of people with no power and no money. And here it is. And now academics are laying it out to you in academic studies how stupid they are and continue to be. And the people who pointed out should still shut up. Everybody should still shut up, though. Got to come together and unite around more corporatism that's bound to lose again. I ain't doing it. Hey, our next show is March 20th in Burbank. It's almost sold out. Our next show after that is April 3rd in Hollywood at the Improv. Links for tickets right below.